welcome back to my channel on female athlete performance training. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe button below so that you can get updated anytime I post a new podcast or a new video. I'm sure you have seen on my channel, in my blog articles, or maybe even in the Strong Female Athlete book, the 7 pillars of performance that I talk about. And these are so crucial when we're talking about female athlete performance because a lot of young girls will just train so hard and that's their only focus. So maybe they want to improve a skill, they train extra hard and hire all these trainers, or maybe they're in a rut and they assume that putting in more reps and doing more training and working even harder is the answer. And I'm here to tell you that it's not just training that it comes down to. To be honest, training is the bare minimum to female athlete performance. It is non-negotiable. Female athletes should be working on mastering their skills, doing their ball work or doing their stick work or working on shooting extra hoops. They should be doing that non-negotiable, but they also should be doing the strength training non-negotiable. And this is why I talk about this pillar as the first one, because it's the bare minimum. Everyone should be doing it. And if you're not doing it, you better start doing it now, because those team practices with the coach are not enough. You're working on team tactics. You're not working on the details of your skills. You're not doing your strength training. You're not doing your true speed development. You're training with your team 3 to 4 times a week, so max 4 hours. But what are you doing outside of that to really work on leveling up your skills and leveling up the resiliency of your body? So I'm just going to gloss over this pillar because the other ones are so important. But I trained for the longest time in strength and conditioning, and it greatly helped my performance. But I soon realized that if I was not fueling my body to match the energy expenditure of my extra training, I was not going to show up with energy. I was not going to show up with motivation. I was not going to show up being fast and explosive because sometimes I didn't have the fuel or the carbohydrate stores to even last. It didn't matter how much I was training. If my nutrition plan was not supporting my body and the amount of stress I was putting it under, then it was going to be really hard for me to show up my best self. So that brings me to the nutrition pillar. This is the second one of female athlete performance. And I soon learned when I was coaching that female athletes who just are complacent with their pregame or pre-training fuel, they're the ones who collapse. And I had an athlete who played soccer at UNC, and she came home once to work on her off-season fitness program. And I was taking her through her yo-yo test. She had to get a level 40, which is extremely hard to do. And by the time you're even at a level 20, you are booking it. You are digging as hard as you can, sprinting back and forth, and it's all out. It's all out sprinting, and it's a really, really grueling test. And she got to level 30, and she was one of my most aerobically fit, strongest, fastest athletes that I've worked with. She had her training pillar down. But when she got to that level 30, something strange happened. She collapsed. She couldn't finish the test. She was exhausted. And I saw it happening as she was approaching that level 30. Her speed was starting to slow down. And I was there just shaking my head and wondering what was going on with her, because she had worked so hard. And after she had collapsed and just fell over on the sideline in exhaustion, I then noticed that she began puking. And then I was even more confused. And I was like, okay, there's something else going on here. Turns out she had Mexican food So the sour cream, the cheese, the guacamole. So all those heavy, slow digesting fats that aren't ideal before a fitness test or competition or training, she had that. And that's why she felt heavy and she slowed down. So that's just one example of when you have a strong athletic female athlete and the nutrition side is not matched up, that's when bad things can happen. So the training and the nutrition need to go together. That is when the magic truly happens. Now, the next pillar is sleep. And I always tell my girls, you have to get your sleep. It's called beauty sleep for a reason. I'm not just talking how you look physically, but how you feel physically, and also how you feel mentally. So, two things happen in sleep. So, first, your muscles are recovering, and during sleep, you are producing what is called growth hormone, and that allows the muscles to rebuild at rest. So, if you're not getting a full uninterrupted over 8 hours of sleep, then your muscles might be sore the next day, or you don't feel fully recovered from your training week. So, during sleep, your muscles are recovering and your brain is also recovering. I'm sure a lot of you have woken up after extreme sleep deprivation and you go to school the next day and you're totally out of it. You can't retain information. You're not motivated to do work. You might not be as social as you usually are because your brain didn't have the rest that it needed. So, your brain is also recovering during sleep. And sleep scientists call it a quote unquote cleansing of the brain that happens when you're sleeping. And this is not just important for school for female athletes, but also for their sport, because in their sport, they're making hundreds of decisions during competition, especially for team sport female athletes, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, volleyball, tennis, hundreds of decisions happening in less than a split second. So the brain needs to be recovered to be able to respond to those stimuli. So sleep is extremely important as a recovery modality. I would say that nutrition and sleep are my top two for female athlete recovery. So dial those in for 6 months consistently and be strict with yourself and see what happens. My female athletes who I work with remotely, I am very clear on when they can text me. And they always laugh about this, but I have to bring this up. But I have gotten text messages in the past at 11 o'clock at night, at 1:15 in the morning, at 3 a.m. in the morning. And they're just asking me questions about the program. And my phone's on airplane mode when I'm sleeping. I have serious boundaries around my sleep. And I'll wake up the next day, turn my phone on during work hours. And when I wake up in the morning and I get back to them, and I'll be like, why were you texting me at 3 in the morning? And they're like, oh, you're right. Like, so it's just kind of funny to just see that. And I have to continue to remind them that, like, what my boundaries are, you need to have those boundaries too with your mobile device, because that does impact how female athletes sleep. That light coming from the phone is very stressful for the eyes, very stressful for the nervous system, and it's really key to get off the mobile device before bed. I usually say 30 minutes to start with, but preferably an hour, or at the very least put your phone on night mode so the brightness is more of that warm hue and it's not completely bright, just to protect the eyes. So sleep is the third pillar of performance. Now the second one, or sorry, sleep is the third pillar of performance. Now, the fourth one is mindset. And I'm not talking about the positive affirmation, the self-talk, the visualizations. That's not what I mean when I talk about mindset. I'm not into the foofy positive stuff because that's not realistic for us humans, especially us athletes when mistakes are inevitable. Being in ruts are inevitable. We have to learn how to have a resilient mindset. And this does take messing up, but that's where the growth happens. So when I talk about mindset with female athletes, I talk about it in a sense that it's about finding meaning during the hard times. It's okay to feel frustrated with yourself if you make a mistake. It's okay to be upset that you didn't make that team. It's okay to be angry that you're not getting the playing time that you want. It's okay. But it's not okay to attach those emotions to your value as a player. And it's not okay to just linger and continue to beat yourself up about it. What should be done in these situations is finding meaning in them, finding the lesson. So if you're not getting enough playing time, then where are you falling short? How can you do better? How can you show up better in this situation? Or if you're not making the team that you want, well, can you use this time to be grateful where you are at now? So find some sort of meaning within the suffering, because let me tell you, mistakes are not going to stop. I make mistakes every single week. It doesn't matter if it looks like I'm killing it on social media. Nope, that's not reality. Newsflash, not reality at all. So just understand mistakes are going to happen. You're going to have bad days. Lean into them, learn from them, and find the meaning. I had a college teammate at Johns Hopkins University who tore her ACL 3 times in high school. This girl should have stopped playing soccer. I don't know what I would have done if I had torn my knee 3 times. I don't know if I would have kept playing, but she kept playing. She saw each ACL surgery as an opportunity to level up and to be stronger than she was prior to injury. So she looked at her first ACL rehab and was like, you know what? I could have gone to a better physical therapist who was more soccer specific. After her second surgery, she went to a better physical therapist, but then she said, you know what? I don't think I was eating the best I could at the time. So then she leveled up from that. Then after her third surgery, she was like, you know what? I need to not rush into returning from my rehab and not rush into doing all the minutes and starting games. I need to ease into it gradually. So after that third surgery, she had all the tools to not have to go through it again a fourth time. And she ended up being a college All-American at Johns Hopkins University. For a girl who went through the ringer in high school to still play and to let alone become an All-American and start every game at Johns Hopkins University is just an inspiring story. That's a really inspiring example of a resilient mindset. So that's mindset. That's the fourth pillar. The fifth one I'm going to go over quickly because this one is very self-explanatory, but your relationships impact your performance. So who are the 5 people that you're spending the most time with? Friends, family. Who are you spending the most time with? And are they helping you to become a better athlete? Are there nutritional choices you want to make for your performance? What about their sleep choices? Or are they partying or staying up late? The decisions and behaviors of your friends impact you. They influence you. So you need to be in relationships that motivate you, that energize you, that uplift you, and help you to become a better athlete, but also person. The sixth one is leisure. And I know what everyone's going to say, that yes, our sports are leisure, they're fun, and they are. I loved soccer. I love training and going to soccer practice, but I also had other interests that didn't involve going to an organized setting that was on the schedule and on this like stringent routine. There came a point where I eventually needed a break from that. Even when I was older in high school and college, I had to venture out and do these other activities. And I write about the neuroscience of this in my book, The Strong Female Athlete. Female athletes, whether you're young or collegiate or even the pros, you need that leisure. You need that unstructured free play, namely not supervised by a coach or a teacher or an adult. You just need to go out with your friends and have fun. Create your own games, create your own adventures. And what this does is it not only helps to build social skills, it helps with emotional intelligence, building creativity, and really building the right brain. So it's important that female athletes have a little bit of that escape from the organized setting throughout their career so that they can take a step back, relax, and really lean into their creativity, because they're going to need it for their sport. Anything that's done in an unstructured setting is only going to benefit them in their sport, but also in life. The last one is purpose. And just because it's last doesn't mean it's least. This is the most important pillar. Purpose is why you're doing something. So if female athletes don't have a why or a reason as to why they're doing that sport, these other 6 pillars are going to be so hard to stick with. They're just going to go through the motions. There's no meaning in their sport. They need to have that why. And I've talked to some of my girls about this, and a lot of them will say, well, my purpose is I just love being a part of a team and I love contributing to something greater than myself. And when you're contributing to something greater than you, you're much more likely to take responsibility for these other pillars so that you don't fall short for other people. That's what being a teammate is about. That's what playing sports is about. You need to have purpose. And personally, I had a lot of purpose with soccer growing up. It made me feel energized. I love my teammates. It brought me so much joy being a part of that community. And honestly, it made training, nutrition, sleep, mindset, relationships, leisure so easy for me to do because my sport meant something to me. And because it meant something to me, I stuck with it, even in hard times. Purpose helps you get through adversity much easier. You're less likely to crumble in the face of challenge. So get clear on what your purpose is. So I just talked about how these all relate to sport performance, but what about life? The interesting thing about these 7 pillars is they don't stop when you're in your mid-20s out of college sports and you're done playing, or maybe in your 30s when you're done playing professional. These 7 pillars just get started even more when you're done playing. You got to go even harder in all these categories. Training, you still have to move more. You're getting old, you need to move more than everyone else. You need to move more than your younger self. You need to keep your joints healthy. You need to keep your bones strong. You need to keep your muscles from dwindling away. You need to go harder in that training pillar. Nutrition helps reduce chronic disease, heart disease. If you're fueling your body appropriately and nourishing yourself, helps to keep your bones strong as you age. You need to go harder with your nutrition when you're done playing sport. Sleep. Who here wants to have a career that's high performing? You want to be a surgeon? Well, you better be getting sleep because you're operating on people. Your brain needs to be sharp. Or if you're a lawyer or you're going into a high pressure situation, you need to be well slept. So you need to be way more rested than you are now. Your mindset, like I said earlier, you're still going to fail. Things are still going to happen. Maybe you didn't do well on the MCAT. Maybe you didn't get into medical school. Maybe you get a divorce. Maybe you get a heartbreak. Maybe you don't get a promotion that you want. Your mindset still needs to be resilient. You still need to find meaning in those times. Relationships. Do you want to create a community when you're older? Do you not want to isolate yourself? Isolation is the biggest reason people succumb to depression and sort of mental disorders as they age. You need to still have your relationships and your community. So keep nourishing them. Leisure, unstructured play, adults definitely need that. As you age, your brain declines. But who here wants to maintain a sharp brain and creative mind? Keep doing your free play, even when sports end. And still have your why. Your why might change from playing your sport to pursuing your career or starting a family. It's going to change, but you still need to have it. I hope this helped explain the 7 pillars of sport performance for female athletes. So I want you guys to just take inventory of all of these, write down where you're doing well, where you're falling short, and what you plan to do in the next week to improve the ones you're falling short in. What is an action step you're going to take this week, right now? And get clear. And don't just do this inventory activity today after you watch this video. Continue to take inventory of these 7 pillars for a lifetime. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time.